Around 2002 and 2003, I lived and worked as a teacher in Japan, in Nagano. And I have retained a kind of obsession with Japan since that time. I think part of it is guilt because I didn't see out my entire year-long contract. I only stayed as a teacher for 6 months. I actually quit after 2 months, then discovered on reading my contract that I was supposed to stay, well, to give 4 months' notice of departure, because that's how long it took to find a replacement teacher. So my notice period was twice as long as my original working period. Anyway, I've long since retained a love of pretty much all things Japanese. I love Lost Japan, and I even have two copies of it. One of them given to me by a friend quite recently. I love this version of it. The Lonely Planet one's good, but I think they got this one feels more right than the original Lonely Planet publication. Anyway, I'm going off the point a little bit too far. I love Japanese writing, but I think that actually I love Japanese writing of a certain period because I've been reading more recent Japanese writing and it doesn't hit me in the same way. And I don't know if it's the translator or if it's that the style has moved on from where it was. But there was something so almost ascetic about Japanese writing of a certain period or up to a certain point. And if you want an example of what on earth I'm going on about, you need to read this. This is Yasunari Kawabata's The Master of Go. Now, Go is a game that I don't understand. You have a board marked as a kind of grid, and you have either white tokens, maybe white stones, or black stones. One person is white, one person is black, just like in chess. And the object of the game is to control the territory of the board. This book is about a single game of Go between a retiring master and an up-and-coming challenger. That's it. And interspersed in the text, you get things like this, which shows the development of the board as the game progresses. Now, each move in the game requires hours of contemplation in most cases. The players just sit there facing each other, thinking about what they're going to do, what they're going to place where. There are long periods where the game isn't played because the master becomes very ill. So I think it takes about 6 months from start to finish. But it is a highly contemplative book. We get into the minds of the characters in a very delicate sort of fashion, and it's all about the right way of conducting oneself in Japanese society, the right way of playing a game, of taking things seriously. There are some beautiful moments. For example, the writer, I think it is on the train and traveling between locations in the game, and he starts playing a game of Go against a foreigner, an American, I think, and the American just likes the game, treats it as a game, doesn't care if he wins or loses. He just, I'll play that. Oh, you win. Oh, amazing, let's play a game. Yeah. So in a train journey, a couple of rapid paced games and that's it, it's done. And the writer doesn't like it. It's like, how can you treat this game as such a throwaway thing? It's not just, click your fingers and you go and play. It's something where if you're going to respect your opponent, respect the game, you have to spend time thinking deeply about what you're going to do. You have to want to win. So it is quite fantastic that way. It's very low key. I mean, like I say, this is a book that concentrates on one game of Go for 180 pages, and yet I could not put it down. It was fantastic. So this is going to be kind of my touchstone as I go through reading more Japanese books, and I am going to try and figure out when it was that things changed. But I wonder if it's just Japan, because I feel like so much of modern fiction now has this kind of fast-paced conversational style, which is fine. If people want to read books that way, if it helps them into a book so that they can read at all, fine, I'm not against it. But because I spend so much of my time reading books from any period up until like the 70s, really, there is, I believe, a fundamental difference in the approach of the writer. So I'm reading The Great Passage at the moment. It's another book by a Japanese writer, but a much more recent book, and I'll be preparing a review, and I will compare it against things like this, The Master of Go, to see where the shift is. I mean, this is something that came out in, what year did it come out in? Well, this edition 1972, but the original was published in 1951, so it took a while to reach the West, I suppose. It is a curious switch. I can't imagine a writer of today, certainly not one that I'm familiar with anyway. There are not many writers today, generally, who could make such a fascinating book about one single instance of a game. And even after reading this, I don't quite understand how the game works. It doesn't seem to matter. Fascinating. Anyway, that's that. Thank you.